Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of Frack The Canon from home. I think this is episode 9 from home for us. So we will be talking about the Arrowverse. And don't forget, and joined by Sarah Bennett. Hi, Sarah. Want to say hello?
Hello.
And CJ McCree from Milwaukee. What's up, good sir?
Hello, hello.
Alrighty. So don't forget, you guys, that we're bringing back the drinking game. Remember, every time we say or we mention we go to film school, take a shot or a drink. I myself got myself a little bit of the black stuff. So go drink and drive, kids.
Reference.
Yes, reference. All right. So what we're talking about is the Arrowverse. We're gonna catch up what's going on. As you guys know, CJ and I are mostly Marvel fans. CJ, Sarah, are you a Marvel or DC fan? You have to.
Kind of both. I think I know more about Marvel just because I read more Marvel comics and watch more Marvel stuff, but Batman was always a huge thing for me.
Okay. So all right, so what we're talking about the Arrowverse this time. We're talking about the Batwoman is a new show. Is it first season? Yeah, it's first season. Doesn't feel like it. But all right. So we'll talk about, I guess, the entirety of the Arrowverse. Let's talk with Arrow. I didn't watch most of Arrow. I watched the first 2.5 seasons, and then I stopped watching it. What was Deathstroke in 2 or 3? You guys remember? True.
Well, he comes back too.
True.
It's not just contained to a season.
Well, I stopped watching it when something happened with season 3. I forgot. I'm like, this is dumb. Was it with Sarah coming back? Something with the Lazarus Pit? It was before the Lazarus Pit.
Well, season 3 had heavily to do with, because I mean, when you think about like the whole Arrowverse or whatever, when you think about Arrow to me comes as a response to the popularity of Nolan's Batverse. You know what I mean? Like, so
Okay.
it's like it's partially like filling the void after Smallville's popularity, but it's also like trying to give people something like of the heroes that they like. You know what I mean? Like at the time, like I think I don't know if it's the year or the year after Arrow comes out. It's what Dark Knight is. Is it 2008 or is it more closer to Dark Knight Rises? I can't remember.
Dark Knight Rises came. I think it's definitely post Dark Knight. I think it's after Dark Knight Rises. I'm pretty sure. You know what? We have.
Sure. Well, I'll just finish my thought while you're doing that.
Yes, please.
But I feel like it's sort of like trying to capitalize on that popularity of this sort of like gritty, kind of like realism-ish, air quotes, real style superhero show. And to that effect, I think it did all right, especially in its first season. I'm really glad that they because when it first came out, they had their like no superpowers kind of a thing that they were doing with the Arrow show. They're like, no, this is grounded, this is gritty, nobody has powers here. But I am so glad. Now that worked for season 1. Don't get me wrong. I was a big guy that I know me and Renee were talking about this when the show came out. Like I kind of hated Arrow season 1. I tried to watch it like at least 5 times, and like I just hated it so much. It was like the worst. But then like when season 2 came along, there was so many like things I would see, like little news clips or whatever about like all this like really geeky cool stuff that was in the show, and I was just like, what? And then I heard like the Flash, Barry Allen was gonna make a cameo, and like Barry Allen is my dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, the Flash is my dude.
I was gonna say, TJ, really? Barry Allen's your dude? Not Wally West? OG Wally West, but
yes. It's a little inside. Well, not even inside. Who cares? I don't really like the character of Barry Allen, like in the comic books or whatever.
I don't either.
I really love the Flash, but I really don't like Barry Allen. But anyways, that doesn't transfer to the Arrowverse that we're talking about. I do like that Barry Allen. But
I don't. I think it's annoying.
But anyways, they said there's gonna introduce stuff like that, and what was it, Bronze Tiger, and like just other characters, and it was like sort of like my geek sense was tingling, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, well maybe I can just like power through like season 1 and see. But I was pleasantly surprised when I started to kind of force myself to watch Arrow season 1. I started to really like it. The first few episodes I did was like, oh, this is horrible. But like after that, after it got beyond its growing pains, then I started to really like what it was. And long story short, I'll get to what you were saying. I thought it was kind of garbage. But like hitting hinting back at what you were saying, like, or what I was saying earlier, it's kind of like playing on those Batman tropes, on the Nolan versus Batman tropes.
Right.
Here in season 3, they get to a point where they're fighting Ra's al Ghul, which is again like that's kind of like the big thing was in Batman Part 3. Of course, he was fighting him in Part 1, but Part 3 it's like a bigger deal, you know what I mean?
Right.
That it's like Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows and all that.
Sarah, do you want to jump on this before? I something I forgot about season 1, but Sarah, if you want to add
Yeah,
thoughts.
I mean, Arrow was my entry into the Arrowverse. I mean, obviously, it's the first thing that came out, and I actually wasn't watching it. And then I went to a panel at Phoenix Comic-Con, now called Phoenix Fan Fest or something, because Comic-Con's trademarked. But yeah, I forget what's the name of the guy that plays Oliver Queen?
Stephen Amell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Stephen
he
Amell.
was there, and so was Malcolm Merlin, John Barrowman, and they were just very cool. So I was like, oh, I kind of want to watch this, and that was my entry point to it. And so I binge watched the first season, I think, over a weekend, and loved it. But towards the end, I was actually very glad when they were like, we're going to end it, because I feel like they kind of ran out of bad guys like that they could use. So like the plot line became Oliver Queen being like, we're gonna do this because I think it's right, and no one can think different, and rah, and then they're like, oh, that's a bad choice, and now everything went bad, so now we have to fix what you decided to do stupidly, and that becomes the plot. Like so that kind of got frustrating to me to follow. So I was kind of glad that they like it's over now, because I feel like they kind of ran out of what to do with him.
Yeah, so I started watching it when it first. I started watching it because I'm like, oh, it's comic book stuff. It's Arrow, cool. I'll watch anything, comic book. But the first thing that really turned me off on that show was he kills like crazy in the first episode. I'm like, what is this? This is not very. And then I'm like, and then it was very bitchy and moany, very emo. I'm like, I no, I don't want this. This is not Arrow. Like Arrow's more kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. The Arrow that I know. And to me, like, this is Batman. So back to your point, CJ, it came out 2013, 2012. So it was definitely post Dark Knight Rises. So I'm like, they're doing Batman, but Batman Who Kills, like, I didn't like it at all. So I stopped watching it, and then CJ told me it's good. I'm like, dude, yeah, I just don't care. But then I saw the Flashes coming up. Barry Allen's cameo showed up. I'm like, all right, so I binge watched all of season 1, and then I cut up to the very end. I'm like, oh, this is good. Season 2 was pretty good. And then I jumped season 3 because I'm like, I don't give a frack. Like, because then they kill him, right? But then they have Lazarus Play. I'm like, I don't care. But then at that point, I think they brought back Sarah. What's her name?
Lance.
Sarah Lance. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But then I'm like, then it got really, really. It is CW, so it got very teeny, very soap opera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you guys are adults. You shouldn't be doing this anymore. In my opinion, I don't know. But then again, look at us. We're talking about a TV show made for kids. But so that's what I thought, Sarah. That's where I was at. It was just it was very. And then the Flash came on, and that's when okay, cool. So I watched all that, but I just haven't watched it. And I do like Jack Barrowman because I was first introduced to him in Doctor Who, and that's what. Oh, this is he's a great actor. And
when I saw him in person, he was hilarious. Like, a lot of times you go to panels, there's like people are very serious, and like you're like, oh, you're interesting, but like I'm kind of getting bored just because you're like, it's like, oh, like this is my method and like all this other stuff. But Brahman was hilarious. Like he was up there telling jokes, and it was just really fun to see. And I was like, oh, now I gotta watch the show. Like if he's in it, though of course, you know, he's kind of a sad character, though. They keep bringing him back, thank goodness, to
yeah, that's the one thing. Is he an immortal in the show? That's what at one point I'm like, is he an immortal? Or like, is he? I forgot about that part.
He's not immortal. I think he becomes Ra's al Ghul. I know it's been a while since.
That's what threw me off too. Like, is that a title they pass down to whoever is?
there's like a fight to prove, I think. So now I'm
I,
showing the gaps in my knowledge. You can tell like I stopped fully paying attention while watching the episodes towards the end.
I stopped watching. I literally stopped watching. So, and see when TJ comes back, I stopped watching. The only thing I'm watching right now on Arrowverse is Legends of Tomorrow and Batwoman. I've stopped watching Arrow just because I just don't care. This is Flash. I stopped watching again because he's a little bitch. And there was a thing with the daughter. I'm like, this is good, but I just like I don't care. Supergirl, way too freaking preachy for me. I'm like, all right, I get it.
yes.
I love that it's so about message, but I watch these kind of stuff to escape from all this stuff, and then you throw it back in my face. I don't want to watch that personally.
Mm-hmm.
But it
Yeah,
is.
I always
Go ahead.
think like Supergirl is like, I mean, obviously the message there is anti-racism, like
Yes.
and very overtly, like we need to accept people for who they are, no matter what, and I've actually been watching Luke Cage recently, and I kind of like Luke Cage has a message too, you know,
Mm.
it's but it does such a better way. Like I can watch it without feeling like I'm being preached to, and I
Yes.
feel like that's the big difference between that and Supergirl. Is like Luke Cage did it right, and Supergirl girls kind of being like, oh, like I know I try not to be racist. Like, come on, guys. Like, I don't need you to tell me that every episode.
So that was the one thing in film school. Take a shot. Was that when we started? Was like don't like give a message, but don't be preachy about it. Like don't hit him. And that's the one thing with Supergirl. It was when the Martians were the racist, and it was a good the Green Martian. I'm like, oh, cool, I get it. That's from the comic. That's cool. But then they started doing everything about immigration and illegal aliens. I'm like, this isn't Supergirl anymore. This isn't, you know. Um, CJ, your thoughts? Because you and I are talking about this heavily.
Um, on one level, like what you were just saying, like you know, level number one, I'm here to see a comic book show. Period. Like I'm a fan of comic books. Like I still haven't watched the Joker movie, you know what I mean? Like, which is a freaking Oscar-winning comic book movie, like that's got all these accolades, and it's like pretty much speaking to me, except like dude, no, like it's just not a super. It's a film about a dude, and it's like got, you know what I mean, it's got superhero trappings or whatever. But like the same thing with Supergirl, you know what I mean. If I come to watch a super powered show and it's called Supergirl, I'm there to see her laser beam some dudes, punch some dude through a wall, you know what I mean, freeze breath somebody, do something that a normal person can't do. But no, she's like you said, she's dealing with like you know, empowerment in the workplace and like racism, and it's like I do that every day. It's like I don't care about this aspect of you. But I mean, the thing about Supergirl, like that initially turned me off, because I did, you know, like I did a bit of a 180 on Supergirl, like
Yes.
'cause I didn't really like early Supergirl. Thought it was so like hokey and like I don't know, like it just rubbed me the wrong way, you know what I mean? But like towards the end of season one, like I started to really like get into it and enjoy it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. And then, you know, I really liked season two, and I think I like season three. I can't remember which one that was, but I know season four, whichever one that like is before Crisis, I hated that season. I thought that was like absolute trash. Well, it was
Is that
like
the one with Lex Luthor?
that was the one with Lex Luthor, and I loved when he
So
got onto the scene. Like I loved like his little arc that they gave him at the end. Like that, all those episodes I thought were great. However, everything leading up to that, I was like, oh, this is complete trash, and I'm like I'm like wading through this, like because at that point, that's when I had stopped watching the Arrowverse for a while, but I had been hearing so many things about Crisis that it caused me to be like, okay, well, you know what, let me just binge watch everything and get up to Crisis, because that sounds like a good time, you know what I mean? So then I did that. So I was super prepared for the show because I've watched everything in the freaking Arrow universe, you know what I mean? And yeah, I would agree, like, you know, where Arrow was kind of like this dark tale, and then Flash was kind of like Flash became kind of like a Superman in their world, like
yes,
that light
interesting.
beacon,
Yes,
you
yes,
know
yes.
what I mean? Like he's kind of like the paragon of good, not to even use their terminology, but he's kind of like even though he did become a paragon, but no, he's kind of like their more moral paragon in the world, whereas
Right.
Arrow is like this kind of like morally gray, and then you have Supergirl, which is like I don't know, Family and Friends Day, I guess. And then you know what I mean. But I don't know. I like. Well, what do you guys think about like I don't know the quality of these shows? Like, which ones are your favorites? Did we
So
talk about
Sarah,
that?
I'll let you answer that because we're.
Um,
Okay. Go ahead, Sarah.
Right now, my favorite is Legends of Tomorrow because I think it does a good balance between it. It's hokey, right? Like, but very overtly and purposefully hokey, and so it's funny. It's like the characters, I look forward to watching it because I know they're going to do something silly and then laugh at themselves. Whereas everyone else, like the Flash, like as I said, Supergirl's become preachy. The Flash, I feel like it's the same story every single season. It's like
Yes,
someone I love is in danger and I'll do anything to save them.
and it's
And
always Iris. Eventually, it's always
yeah,
Iris.
and just kind of like, well, I guess we're doing this again. And um, what am I forgetting? Well, Arrow's done now, so we don't have to, you know, think about him anymore. But
You failed this season.
yeah,
I think it's interesting because I feel like Flash is before I had to dip out that what Sarah was saying about how the end of season the end of Arrow, how their story just kind of was like Ali saying, "Hey, I'm right," and like varying degrees of like them trying to prove him wrong or whatever, but he's the only one like that can be right about blah blah blah. I feel like that's Flash like every season. Like that's Flash is like him like, oh no, you guys don't understand. I'm the only one with this power. You don't know the responsibility. And everybody like one by one, every character is coming like Barry. You don't want to do that because like if you do that, it's gonna like end up really bad. He's like, no, you'll get it. I'll do that. You know, here comes Joe. Listen, Bear. Look, I know your thing, man, and you know you're my son, man, and blah blah blah. And he goes and visits his dad, and he's oh, and they're always crying. Everybody's always crying when they talk to Flash, and then like freaking, and he cries, and then like. And then, like, but it's always the same thing. Always him, like, nope. He doesn't listen to everybody. Everybody tells him the same thing. He doesn't listen to everybody. He does his own thing, and then it like lets the bad guy like win, and then like he comes back and then beats the bad guy, you know, with everybody's help and love and tears, and then he goes off and screws it up again next season. But
yeah, no, it's that's all right. So we got like 8 minutes left before we wrap up. So
does anyone have any opinions on Black Lightning? Are we considering that part of the Arrowverse since he was part of the crossover, which they said they would never do?
I would say that yes, he is simply because he was on the crossover. Also, like I said, I watched everything. It's like the other shows too. You know what I mean? Like, and that's part of that is because they're on the CW, and CW only knows how to make one type of show. But it's
yeah,
it's like those. As someone who binge watched everything from Black Lightning up until Crisis started, I actually liked Black Lightning. I found it refreshing because it is, like I said, it's the same formula, but they do it in like a different way. You know what I mean? Like it can be a little preachy, but more along the Luke Cage lines than the Supergirl lines. It does have a definite message, but it's like a different type of story. It's more grittier, even though like it has powers. It's like a story that I would expect from a more street level type of character. But it does have like these cool kind of superpowers involvement in it. It's kind of like a mix between like something like X-Men and maybe something like the Outsiders team or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's a really interesting mix, and I actually really like White Lightning. I think it's done really well, and I think it's good that they kind of kept everything separate. You know what I mean? It allowed it to kind of stand on its own.
So before we move on, because I haven't watched Black Lightning, and that was my big fear too. I'm like, it feels like it's gonna be preachy, and it feels like the people this business who should be watching this show aren't watching this show. It feels like they're gonna be preaching to the choir. Is it preachy or no? Is it just like I just want a good action, fun TV show, superhero show? Is it?
I feel like it is at times, like, but not necessarily annoyingly so. Because I mean they're dealing with a lot of, again, kind of some of the same issues of Luke Cage and Supergirl is like racism and inequality and all that other stuff and systematic issues that are present. But it to me, at the base of it, it's about like a father and his daughters.
Okay.
It seems to be the base story to me,
Right.
more than anything else.
So either of you watching Batwoman? I actually like Batwoman so far. That's what I'm watching right now. Arrowverse myself. I'm watching Legends of Tomorrow because it is. You know what? They like frack it, like just out the window and having fun. It is my favorite show right now because like I like the fact that they made a Muppet episode. They're doing a Star Trek episode in the future. That's why I like it a lot. So, any of you guys watching Batwoman
I've watched
up to Crisis?
the season whatever before the crisis. I watched
Right.
everything.
Yeah, I'm current on her right now.
Me too. I like it, but it has that CW trope. That the one thing that bugs me right now, and I was talking to TJ about this, was like her sister. I'm like, I don't. What's your main goal? Like, at the end of the day, like, what do you want to do? Because you've had Batwoman in your hands. You could have killed her, but you let her go. Like that makes no. That's the one thing I have big issue with Arrowverse. They're like they have the villains, they have them in their hands, but they let them go. Like that. What the frack is that? Make up your mind. You know.
Yeah, I feel the problem with Batwoman is as soon as they come to a conclusion with her sister, they're gonna have really hard time keeping the story going because a lot of what they're focusing on right now is her like inner turmoil, like should I kill my sister, like, or should I not kill my sister? Does that make me an awful person? Like, so as soon as her sister's out of the picture or whatever the conclusion is with that story, it's like where are they gonna go for her as a character next? So I don't know. We'll have to see what they do.
Agreed. Yeah, it's because they're referencing a lot of the other Batman characters. Like they even showed. I don't. Have you read the Batman? Have you read Batman Hush, Sarah?
No.
Oh my God, have I got a book for you next time I see you? So that's one of the first books. So everyone knows that Batman and Hush is one of my favorite comic books ever. And they brought in that character into Batman. I'm like, wait, what are you guys doing? Like this is. You know what? Now I want to see Batman Hush and Batwoman Hush.
No, you don't, bro. Because the next day you're gonna be texting me like, "Oh man, did you see Hush? Oh, it was such a disappointment. I hate Batwoman now. I'm never gonna watch it again."
Sadly, that is usually how our conversations go when it comes to. But yeah, that's all I have. Anything you guys? We got 3 minutes. Anything you want to talk about before we wrap up this episode of Frack the Canon, episode FTC 39. Can you believe we made it this far, TJ? We're talking 5 years ago. 5 years ago. All right, sir.
I don't know. Arrowverse is cool. I don't know. I haven't watched it as much as. I mean, the only thing I'm really still watching is Legends of Tomorrow for the same reasons that you guys mentioned. You know what I mean? Like it's aware of itself. It makes fun of itself. Only thing I wish is I'm a little sad that they lost a lot of their best characters. I feel like what I mean, but it doesn't matter. It's like they've made it into a rotating roster. You know what I mean? I'm sure they can make something interesting out of it.
I think there's only one original character left. There's only two left original characters.
Mickey and Sarah.
Yeah.
Isn't she leaving though?
Is she?
My God.
Are you serious?
No, I could be wrong. I know.
Oh my God! I just had a heart attack. Jesus Christ, Sarah! Don't do that to me.
I don't know. I thought I read something somewhere, but I could be wrong. I know that Ray Palmer is leaving.
He's already gone. Like
yeah, well, they like the past couple episodes they wrote him out, but yeah.
I will say this about Arrowverse. What I do like about the Arrowverse. I will say this. Like we've been shitting on the Arrowverse, but they do treat the character right. They do that legacy right. I love that they throw back references to the older incarnations of the DC movie verse and TV verse. Like when they brought in Linda Carter to be the president. And more than anything, I love that when they brought it into the Crisis of Infinite Earths. What I liked was the throwbacks to the old shows, like to Smallville, Clark Kent, Batman, Burt Ward, the '89 Batman.
Robert Wool.
Yes, him. That dude. I forgot his name. I forgot he was.
That was the character name, by the way.
I forgot that. I thought that was the actor.
Oh wait, no, never mind. I don't remember. Don't listen to me.
But yeah, no, I will put overall they do reveal those characters for the most part. At least the legend that is those characters. The myth that is Superman, Batman, Arrowverse.
I think they just need to know when to stop. Like they can't just keep making episodes and seasons because people are watching it. They need to have like an end point and be like, we have this story fleshed out and then this is where it's going to end, because we can't just keep putting them in the same awful situations and making it interesting. And I think that would do a better job for their stories.
And I agree. I definitely. I remember telling CJ like, this season 1 is so amazing. It felt like threw everything but the kitchen sink, and then I'm like, how are they going to beat that next season? And it usually I feel like the season have been going like this, personally.
I mean, to that point, I feel like that they write like they aren't gonna have a season after it. You know what I mean? Which isn't. I don't necessarily. I see your guys' points, but I don't necessarily feel like that's a bad thing. But because of what you guys is, for the same reasons that you guys are bringing up, it's not necessarily a good thing either. You know what I mean? Like it would be better if they, like you said, had an end goal in mind, and they're all like kind of like building towards these, putting little building blocks towards them. But at the moment, like they kind of put everything into the current season they're doing, and it kind of writes them into a corner for further seasons.
Because the first seasons are amazing. Like, we're wrapping up, but again, Arrowverse first seasons are amazing, but so far they've been getting a little preachy, a little like, why is this character still doing this? That's all I have. Oh, and there's my timer. Can you guys hear that?
Yes.
Bad case. You guys see it? It's beautiful. Alrighty, that's all I have. Anything you guys want to say before we frack off? Nothing? Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and frack off.